election, I want to talk a little bit about, because it's been getting a lot of press in the last week or so, the much touted Project 2025. Now, Ryan, this has been picking up some heat, and Trump has tried to distance himself from it, and it does look like it's a pretty effective rhetorical tool for the Democrats, because essentially, like, what Project 2025 states is the platform of the Republican Party for the last 30 or 40 years. I mean, am I wrong here? Is there anything in Project 2025 that the Republican Party hasn't been, in one way or another, supportive of throughout my entire life? And
right, yeah, because there's factional stuff.
But a corollary to that is, like, obviously, like, the Republican Party putting out a manifesto is electoral poison for them, because if people actually, like, getting rid of divorce and recreational sex, not exactly a winning platform in a national election. But at the same time, I'm struck by the utter lack of any vision or democratic equivalent of Project 2025. So I was wondering if you could just talk about, like, Project 2025, what's actually in it, what's at stake, why is it a unique liability for the Republicans, but also why do the Democrats not have any competing vision to counter this project?
It's such a liability because of the things that you pointed to, that being against divorce, and the other social conservative stuff that they throw in there. It's kind of a hodgepodge, and in some cases it includes, like, multiple different positions. Like, it'll say, like, some of us in the coalition believe this, others in the coalition believe that, which, from a political perspective is foolish to put in there, because then it's just going to be picked out. It reminds me of the way that Rick Scott got dragged around by Mitch McConnell when he came out and said he was going to raise taxes on every poor person in the country. And McConnell had to say, like, we're not going to do this. But it didn't matter, because Rick Scott, I think, was, like, the head of the NRSC at that time. And so all the Democrats could just say, look, this is what this guy said he wants to do. We're putting it in our ads, and PolitiFact is going to let us get away with it because he said it's true. But it also does represent a real kind of coalescing movement around it's the Trump nationalist political movement feeling its oats. Like, they were shocked to come into power, and just didn't have the horses at all. Like, they really feel like the reason that they lost to the deep state in the first term is that they just didn't have the players to put out on the field, that there were just too many, whatever you want to call them, opponents of Trump embedded inside the federal government. And so they have spent the last 4 years trying to prepare for a successful revolution. And if they take the palace this time, they're going to clean out the guard, going to clean everything out. And they're actually going to deliver. Like, they're going to be ready this time. So it also reflects a seriousness in a lot of ways. And like, I moderated a debate, there's a zero hedge debate a week or two ago. And there were two Trump guys, Jack Posobiec, whatever that is. I see him on Twitter all the time. The other one, Ryan Gradusky. I mean, I came out of that like just like, whoa, these guys are fucking nuts. Like, these guys are legitimately insane. Like, they were talking about sending the National Guard into American cities to, like, deport everybody. They were talking about going to war with the Mexican cartels, like the things you talk about. But they're like seriously drawing up plans for this stuff. They're the bleeding edge of this Trump movement. But there's some serious insanity, going on with that crew.
Well, just like in light of the Democrats, like, it seems to be like their counter to the Project 2025 is to adopt the policies of the Republican administration from 4 years ago,
right,
at least as it regards to immigration. It's like, oh, we're not going to send the National Guard into the cities. We're just going to end, being able to claim asylum at the border.
Biden even said in his press conference when he announced that he was adopting Trump's policy, he said, but I will never adopt Trump's rhetoric. Like,
good.
I will.
Good. Thanks for that. I guess what I'm trying to make here is that, like, if we were to take seriously, like, how blood curdling some of this stuff is, or like, should they gain untrammeled access to the federal government again? Like, they're pretty much stating what they plan to do with it. Whether they will achieve it or not is sort of immaterial to me. Like, it's scary enough as it is. But, like, what accounts for the Democratic Party is, like, where is the Democratic Party's Project 2025? Where is even any of their effort to, like, get rid of blue notes to appoint judges before, I don't know, in the next, 3 weeks do they have to do this shit? Like,
I think they don't believe their own propaganda. And you can see it in the 2028 candidates like Newsom, Whitmer, and all these others. On the one hand, you have Democrats warning that if Trump wins in 2024, there will never be another presidential election. Like, that's it. Meanwhile, you have every serious Democrat on the bench saying, you know what, I'm going to take a pass this time. I'm going to let Biden come and get waxed.
They're all lining up to run in the presidential election. It's not going to happen if Biden loses.
It's like, I'm going to go ahead and guess you guys don't necessarily believe the rhetoric here.
I think like Project 2025, right? I agree with you in that like it's a mix of things where like some of it is just like outright incoherent or like just so unpopular that I don't know if it could get off the ground. Some of it is like, you know, very clear, express, and terrifying goals, obviously. But that, like, one thing I do find kind of interesting with it is that one of the big problems that, like, the Bannon faction ran into during their sort of their brief war during the, like, more Kushner faction in the Trump White House that they ultimately lost is that when you're trying to like staff an executive branch with like, you know, fucking based economic nationalists or whatever, when you go around trying to hire people from the places that you hire people from in DC, there still like aren't enough of those people to staff a federal government. Look, if they even accomplish like 10% of the stuff that's in 2025, it's bad, obviously, very bad. But I don't think the literal amount of people you would need for it is quite there. Like, that was a repeated issue with the Trump administration. Just their trouble in filling out the administrative state that they needed. They ended up hiring so many fucking, like, weird losers, like that Kash Patel fucker. Who's that guy? Ezra Watnick Cohn? Like, all these just fucking losers who just all immediately got arrested instantly.
And Bernie would have faced that problem too if he'd would have won in 2016.
Absolutely.
Like
but he would have had Ryan Grimm press secretary.
Yeah, they would have been calling you guys to, like, what? Do any of you guys know anything about the Department of Energy?